Hello you guys, happy February actually. Today's January 31st, so by the time this goes live, it'll be February. We are officially 1 month into our 2026 budgets. I hope yours are going really well so far. I went through my budget this morning and finalized all the numbers, and I would say, decently happy with it. I went a little bit over, but it's all in areas that I'm going to earn back in the months ahead. So I think my January budget went really good. So today we're gonna get into that, but I also thought that we could start off with some of the goals I set for January and just talk through some of those goals before we get into the numbers. So I have my handy dandy journal here. I've started journaling this month, and my biggest goal for January, those of you who've been following along with my Year of Enough challenge on Instagram and on my Stan Store community would know, I set myself a goal to not buy any clothes in January because that was the focus of the month, was on how I can lower my clothing consumption. I'm taking one budget category each month this year and really focusing in on it, figuring out how to spend more intentionally. So my goal for January was to buy no clothes, and I almost got it. I caved at the very last week, unfortunately. I've had a credit for a while to New Flora, and they dropped their January release, and I got this cute little short sleeve cardigan and then a skirt to go with it. So I will say I'm really proud of how I did the rest of the month. I sewed a pair of pants you guys may have seen on Instagram. I also learned how to mend. So there were a lot of things I did that I think are going to set me up for more success this year and will help me lower my clothing consumption overall. So I also raised my grocery limit just a little bit this year to $300, and I kept my groceries under $300 this month. That was a huge focus of mine, was to see if I could, give myself a little bit more wiggle room but still stay under $300, and I'm happy to say I did. I've been trying to eat more calorie dense foods and gain a little bit of weight, so that goal was achieved. And then lastly, I'd say the expense that caught me most off guard in 2025 was pet costs. We got a puppy in October of 2024, and so 2025 was our first full year of having pet expenses, and they were very expensive. So didn't set like a super numerical goal this month. I just wanted to see those pet expenses go down, and they definitely did. I think I spent $64 this month on pet food and some medicine. She was sick this month on and off, so I set a goal to only spend $200 per month this year on B, and so far I'm coming in way under, so yay for me. So straight into the numbers, I thought I would show on the screen here first just a quick little budget recap for those of you that may not have watched my 2026 budget plan video. Here are all of the numbers I have set for this year budget wise, and I know a lot of people will set like individual budgets each month, which I think are great because there are some nuances to what you do each month, but I try and set more of a overall budget for the year. Some months I'm going to be above these numbers, which means other months I need to be below, but I like to take the average of what I spent in each category over the prior 12 months. Or over the prior year when I go to set my budget for the following year, and think through what my spending habits have been like, how I may be able to decrease it, or if I know I have an expense coming up in the coming year, maybe increase it a little bit. But These are the numbers I set. The dark red are my survival expenses. So those are basically all of the things I think are necessary if I ever lost my job. These are the expenses I would need to continue to incur. And then the pink or salmon colored category are my pleasure expenses. So those are the areas I give myself fun money to spend in right now, but if anything were to ever happen, I could cut those out. I try and keep my budget pretty low on survival expenses currently so that I can have a bit more fun in the pleasure expenses. I know it won't always be that way, but that's the season of life I'm in right now. I don't have a house, I don't have kids, and so I can afford a little bit more fun. Rent, the amount I have set in my budget for this year is a bit higher because we're going to move in March, and so I kind of factored in what I thought our next place would cost into this. So that's why right now I've only spent $684.90. That's my portion of our rent right now where we live in our 1,300 square foot home. No renter's insurance, I pay that annually, and so that paid out in December. Utilities, I spent $54.96, which is pretty low, but some of our utilities pay out, I'd say, quarterly, and so this month was a bit on the lighter side, but time and time again when I share these numbers, especially on Instagram, everyone is appalled at how low our utilities are. This is just my portion. My husband and I split our expenses proportionately to our income, but still, I think his probably put us closer to like $200, $300 total a month, which is crazy. Wi-Fi, my portion is $25. That was par for the course. It doesn't change. Phone plan was $44.26. Groceries, as I mentioned, gave myself a little bit more room this year, and I stayed under at $284.87. Household, this is just cleaning supplies, things of that nature. I had to restock some things, so this month was $45.48. Other months will be below though, so it'll all even out hopefully towards the end of the year. Pet costs, $64.90, yay for me. Health expenses were only $28 this month. I primarily use this for Chinese herbs from my acupuncturist, and the one that I get was out of stock the last time I went. So normally I spend closer to $80, but this month it was a little bit lower because apparently everyone has PCOS like me. No car payment, paid off my car last year, no car maintenance this month. Car insurance we pay biannually, and so that paid out this month, so my portion of that was $383.68. So I spend about like $700 in car insurance over the entire year, split into 2 payments. Gas was $40.90. I usually fill up about a tank a month. And business expenses was $46.23. That was on my Stand Store subscription. And I also bought some more camera batteries because my battery always dies when I'm filming these videos, and then I used to have to go plug it in and wait. Now I have backups, so we can just keep rolling. So those were my survival expenses. In total, I spent $1,703.76, and I have budgeted $1,888 per month. So I came in a little bit under, which is really exciting. Next, for pleasure expenses, I spent $158.86 for restaurants, and I like to separate out work lunches specifically so that I can see the difference between like fun weekend restaurant meals I'm getting out versus like meals I'm buying because I didn't prep ahead for work days. So I was under in restaurants by about $40, and I went over in my work lunches by about $60. So overall, I think I was about 20 over, which isn't horrible, but I had a really busy work month, so I didn't prep and really think through my lunch meals as much as I should have. I think that that's going to be one of my goals for next month, is to really make sure I have lunches prepped and ready to go for my husband and I. Fitness, I spent $101.47. I think because I had to prepay ahead, a little bit for next month. I'm canceling my gym membership as we get ready to move. And so I think that that's just because I paid next month's dues already, but it should be closer to 70. Nothing for parking this month. Didn't really leave the house. Was so busy. Hobbies and entertainment. A huge goal of mine, as I said earlier in the video, was to make a bunch of clothes this year. And so I bought a few clothing patterns, some fabrics, some supplies. So that was a majority of this hobbies and entertainment spend. I think I also rented a few movies here and there when I had friends or guests over. Travel was way over my allotted budget for the year, but it will all even out. I spent $773.96. That was on a flight for a cruise coming up with my family this summer, and then also a flight to New York, which I booked a few months ago with points and then canceled it, and we booked it again last minute with actual dollars. So lots of flights being purchased this month. Hopefully in the next few months we don't have much travel expenditure, and it all evens out in the end. Subscriptions. I really thought that my only subscription this year was going to be my iCloud storage, and then lo and behold, I bought myself a digital planner and signed up for a GoodNotes annual subscription too. So this $11.98 also includes my annual GoodNotes subscription, but I'm always a little bit too certain that I only have one subscription, and then others pop up out of the blue. So spent a little bit more there. Clothes. As I said, tried to not buy any clothes this month, ended up using up a little bit of credit and then spending a bit above that at New Flora, but I think I'm going to come in way under this $200 per month for clothes this year after doing my year of enough kind of case study on my clothing spend. I've realized my values don't really align with this, and so I'm probably more likely to spend $100 a month over the entire year. I think I'll buy like one or two really nice pieces a quarter rather than one nice piece a month. I don't need that many pieces over the course of a year. Beauty and personal care, I spent $151.45. This is for a monthly massage I get to help with all of the back pain I get from working at a desk all day. And then I also I came across this oil online that must have scientific studies showing it's just as effective as laser hair removal. And since I have PCOS, I deal with facial hair and, you know, all of the typical male pattern, more male pattern hair growth that girls with PCOS are blessed with. So I will link the oil I bought down below, and I'll report back and let you guys know if I like it. But that's why my beauty and personal care is a bit higher this month. I'm really excited though, because laser is super expensive. I've tried it in the past. It doesn't work for PCOS, and waxing sucks. So painful. So I don't really want to do that either. Home improvement, I spent $44.70 this month. I can't even remember what this was on. I think it was like a bed skirt for my guest room. I had some guests coming this month, so I just bought some little touches here and there to make it feel a bit more homey. Gifts, I spent $132.66. This was primarily for my niece. Her birthday is actually today, so I bought her some Mayleg dollhouse pieces. I gave her a dollhouse I renovated last year, and so my goal over the coming years is to get her a few furniture pieces each year to add to her dollhouse and build this really beautiful collection. And then miscellaneous, I have budgeted $60. I actually spent $118.16 though, because I'm finally getting around to changing my name on everything. So I had to resubmit my passport, get my name change on my car title, blah, blah, blah. So boring, but that's what all of those miscellaneous expenses were this month. And that left me with $2,816.68 invested across all of my different investment accounts, retirement, and then just some general non-retirement portfolios I have going as well. And I saved $2,522.49, which is about $600 more than I had allotted for myself to save per month. I made a little bit more this month from my side hustle than I had budgeted. That wraps up my January budget. So in terms of goals for February, I just said one. What was it? Whatever, you guys heard it. I don't even remember it anymore. But other goals I have for February, I would really like to get my work lunch expenditure lower. My February Year of Enough is going to be focused on beauty and personal care expenditure, since we're really marketed makeup and skincare and beautifying ourselves ahead of Valentine's, at least as women. I feel like that's a huge marketing push on us in the month of February. So I am going to make it my goal to not buy any beauty or personal care products in February. That doesn't include my massage. I will never let go of that, but hopefully next month I will keep this right around 90. And last goal I think I'll set is that I want to make $200 off of Facebook Marketplace. We're getting ready to move, and so I'm trying to start selling some things around the house that we don't want to take to the next place. So I am going to set myself a goal to sell about $200 worth of stuff we don't need anymore and get some extra income in February. Okay, I think I did in my December financial reset, I walked you guys through free books I had read that month. I love using Libby and Palace and Hoopla and all of the free resources from my local library to read books, literally right on my phone or iPad. And so in the month of January, I was on a huge Kristen Hanna kick. I read The Nightingale. I think that was this month, or maybe it was December, but I didn't do this in December, so we'll say I did anyways. I read The Nightingale. Obsessed. I wouldn't even say 5 stars. I would say 6 or 7 stars, if that's even possible. It was so good. I can't wait for the movie to come out. It was just a beautiful tale of sisterhood, and it was also historical if you like historical books, but really, really entertaining to read, and just put yourself in the shoes of women who lived during World War II. I also read The Women, which is another Kristen Hanna book, but is about women in the Vietnam War and overall just the sentiment that people in the Vietnam War experienced when they came back to the US as well. Another 5 stars. Love that book so much. Actually, maybe I'd say 4 stars because I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. I can't remember what even happened anymore in the ending, but it was a little underwhelming as compared to The Nightingale. I read The Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. That one was amazing. Honestly, give Kristen Hanna a try if you haven't read any of her books yet. I've been on a huge kick right now with historical books, and all of hers are such beautiful depictions of what it was like for women living through all these historical times, because history usually focuses on what happens to men and women's stories are left out, but there's such powerful stories. So I think that those are all of the books I read. And lastly, I wanted to talk about what's on my impulse list lately. I've had all of the dresses from Slow Sunday on my impulse list. I have resisted so far, primarily because I was trying to not buy clothes in the month of January, so February might be a different story. I only want to buy one quality piece this month, if any, so maybe a Slow Sunday piece. I've also had these adorable koozies, or like cup koozies, from this girl I follow on Instagram on my impulse buy list. They're adorable. She embroiders like teddy bears or just these really vintage looking patches onto this plaid fabric. I'll put some photos here of them, but that's for sure on my impulse buy list. I'm trying to resist so hard. Hopefully I can hold out and put them on like a birthday or a Christmas list next year. We'll see. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else that's been on my impulse buy list. I've been so busy lately that I think I've had less time to think about shopping, which sucks being busy, but is also nice not having enough free time to shop all of my money away. So that will wrap up my February financial reset. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in a few other videos between now and March's financial reset. Talk to you soon.